Welcome to Biz Bites, brought to you by Com Together, helping businesses like yours build their brand through telling amazing stories to engage and grow audiences on multiple platforms. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Biz Bites. And I should be really up vibe for this one, particularly. I've known Carolyn for a few years now, and she is in the personal fitness training space and nutrition as well. And I feel as though we should doing a few steps or something while we're doing this. Instead, we're actually sitting down and having a sensible discussion. But so I feel we need that up vibe. But Carolyn, why don't you introduce yourself properly to the audience? Because we've got a lot to talk about. Because just by means of finishing that introduction, I know how fascinating your business has become, particularly as we got to know each other even prior to COVID, and then all of that happening as well, and what that did to your space and where that's left you is huge. So welcome, and please formally introduce yourself.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I think this is my first podcast, actually. Look, I've been a personal trainer for coming up to 23 years. But even before that, I joined the gym when I was 19, and I've just never looked back. I've always then just been into fitness and health. And I kind of do separate them into the fitness side of things, the training and the gaining strength and all that. But then my biggest passion, again, is the health side of things. And that's getting people's nutrition under control and just, getting them actually to where they need to be compared to where they actually currently are inside their body. And I've been doing outdoor training. So I've been doing that roughly since I started. And, I've had two businesses. So I'm into my second business. My first one was a franchise. And then after 12 years, I was like, yeah, I think I just want to be able to have a bit more flexibility and do stuff that I want to do because, over the years, training has changed so much. My first business was almost like taking people for walks, and so now it's evolved into so much more. And my passion is functional training. So teaching people to do or get stronger for everyday life, just so that they can do things, run around with the grandkids, run around with kids, get up and down, get out of bed, basic stuff that we often take for granted. And when it's taken away, we're like, oh, crap. So, I don't want people to ever get to that point.
And I love that about what you do, because it's really interesting, because I think we often have this image of personal trainers as being for, 20, 30 somethings who are, already, been gym junkies, and now they want to take it up a notch. And I think we've probably all seen some of those people in the park at various times as well. And it's not necessarily about that. I love how you talked about, it could just be about wanting to be there for the grandkids. Because it doesn't have to be about becoming this massive gym junkie and, putting on lots of muscle and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine for some people, but that's not really what the majority want or need.
Correct. And that's what I've actually found over the years, is that training's changed so much, like what you said about, wanting, let's say today I got rid of 6 car tires, because I've had them sitting in my yard for 10 years from when I used to do boot camps, because that's what we did back then. Whereas, and I had a massive shipping rope as well, whereas now we're kind of into the smaller battle ropes, because it's more about just general fitness and general health. Gone are the days for me anyway, where there's, just smash them. Because, my clientele has changed, and I'm finding that, they've all got little niggles here and there. And so when they come and train, then I work around it. So, I like to think that anyone can come and do any type of training within their scope within their ability and also their limitations, because we're all biomechanically made differently. Short arms, short legs, and short bodies, whatever, or tall. Um, and so, yeah, you've got to take into account all of that in this day and age to train someone. Mm.
Yeah, there's and I love that it's more personalized. I mean that's obviously around that area, but like you said, it's that those visions of boot camps and things. I think we've all seen them, feared them
Yeah.
perhaps, or watched with admiration of those people that are undertaking it. And then that whole space that you're in has undergone so much change in the last 20 or so years. I mean, now we have these 24/7 gyms that people can go to, I admire people who want to get up. I know a bunch of people who do at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're off to the gym and doing stuff before their day starts. I'm quite happy to be fast asleep at that point in time, but good luck to you if that's your inclination. But I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? That it used to be kind of a one size fits all approach. And now that's very much changed, and there are all these different options that are available to people, and they're not necessarily mutually exclusive either, are they?
No, that's right. I mean, yeah, like you've got so many different types. You've got like your F45s, you've got CrossFit, you've got, as you said, these normal gyms, and now we've got online. So, that was a real game changer come COVID, um, because I'd been looking into that space, and then we were basically forced into it. Um, and it still has its place now, but more and more people I'm finding want to get out and back into it. But I still love doing my training from home. But then I also love getting out and getting about, and I love going to work to actually get me out into the fresh air, to the outdoors, seeing my clients. Yeah.
But it is an interesting space, that online one. I mean, we've got very different businesses, of course. I'm, marketing, you're in fitness, but certainly the revolution that came with COVID was definitely this willingness for people to be online, and this need that people found to want to work from home. And of course, that can extend to doing a fitness a fitness regime of some sort, and having some coaching and training along the way. That there's no reason that can't happen in your own home, because let's face it, particularly if you do work from home, you do spend an awful lot of time there. And whilst it's nice to be able to get out, and there's massive value in being able to do that, sometimes you want to be able to work out, well, what can I actually do? Because I am stuck at home at the moment, because maybe you're looking after kids, maybe you're housebound for any number of other reasons that could happen. So being able to still do stuff in your own home is actually huge within itself.
Definitely. And I think that's what I found. And I try to encourage people, if you do want to actually do online training, don't do it inside. Like, actually, I do all of mine mostly in my backyard, or go to a park and do it in a park. Grab your neighbor, like maybe, do it with a buddy, so that you're not just doing it on your own. Or if you're at home, get the family involved. It's the perfect time. And as you said, when people are working from home, that gives you more opportunity to do things for your health, not work more hours. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a bugbear of mine when people go, oh, yeah, I'm working from home, but, some people still work in their pajamas. They go, I roll out of bed, I'm on the computer. And I'm like, what? It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And then they'll be like, oh, it's 6 o'clock at night and I'm still working. Why? I don't understand why they're killing themselves for someone else, especially if you're working for someone else. I get it when you're in your own business, but you still have to have boundaries. And that's where people need to put those boundaries in place and say, you know what? I need to look after myself now, because otherwise, if I get sick or if I'm injured, whatever it might be, I'm not going to be able to be there for my family or myself to support myself in the future. It's about, you know, paying for health, being present now rather than paying for sickness, and being, you know, not being able to do anything later on in life. So yeah, it's getting people to say, yeah, that travel time that I, you know, that hour in the morning, that hour at night, I've got 2 hours more in my day. Why would you want to work those 2 hours?
It's a really interesting thing. I saw some research recently, and that's global research, and you look at what Australians are doing, and arguably we're working harder than any other country in the world. We're working longer hours with much greater stress than anywhere, and it's interesting because, as you say, at the same time we universally made this choice about working from home. I have to laugh about it because I've been working home from, I don't know, about
Yeah,
15 years now. And so it was like everyone catching up to what I've been doing for a long time. And you're absolutely right about boundaries, that you have to do that. I know one of the worst things you can do is make your office in your bedroom. That is an absolute mistake. Never do that. I remember early on in the piece, I did that. And I did it because at the time I remember, the best view in the house was, that we had at the time, was from the bedroom, and there was space. And I thought, well, I'll just set up a desk and I'll work from there. And what happened was I couldn't sleep because the desk was right there, and you just felt trapped in that space. So it
yeah,
is about working how things go, and creating that. But it is fascinating that people have made lifestyle choices in terms of wanting to work from home. But that wanting to work from home has often which I think is really interesting, because a lot of bosses believe that their staff are not as productive when they work from home. But I actually think the opposite is probably true. They feel like, oh well, I can work more because I don't have, as you say, the travel time, and I don't have the same level of water cooler chat that I would have in an office environment. And then
yeah,
suddenly, that the alleged productivity can increase, because I think that's the important point, the alleged productivity. Because if you are glued to the seat, and I'm speaking my own truths here, because here
yeah.
we're talking to each other in the afternoon, and I've pretty much been glued to my seat the entire day today, which is the try not to let happen. But the truth is when you're glued to your seat, you're not as productive, and there are things that you should be doing both around health and nutrition to change that.
Correct. And, you know, they actually say that um, you should have a 10-minute break every hour or every 50 minutes. Like, so every hour there needs to be that little break where you're standing up, because, you know, sitting kills. We're not designed to sit, we're designed to move. So getting up and just having that little stretch, you know, stretch your arms, lengthen out your spine, your hips, because, you know, you're shortening your hip flexors when you're sitting down all the time. So just moving around and just doing something, even for 5 minutes, nick outside in your backyard, get that fresh air, take some nice deep breaths and get the air in. That's actually been proven to increase productivity. Because actually, you know, our brains, you know, sitting here staring at computers, gets stale, and we need to invigorate it with that oxygen. And just our bodies need that movement. And then also, you know, if you're working from home, you've probably got more ability to prepare better food. So make sure that you're actually fueling your brain and your body with healthy food during the day.
I think what's really interesting about what you're saying as well is that this is a legitimate business expense. Like, having someone such as yourself being able to offer that ongoing support, and advice, and keep things, consistent and moving, it represents an expense, because of course you're running a business, so you would expect to pay for that service. But at the same time, if you're increasing your productivity, the amount that you pay for that service is going to be more than counted by the increase in productivity that you can have by implementing those strategies. And I think people forget that it's not, and perhaps, that whole idea of personal training, makes it feel like it's not part of your business, but it actually can and should be.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. I literally just today um, was watching a call where they talked about um, exactly that with the oh God, now I've gone blank. What did you just say about the oh, sorry, the productivity? Yeah. So if you're not being productive, what's that costing your business? So if you actually do take the time, or if there's an expense involved, like actually getting some training, what that's going to cost you to improve your mind and your body, which is then going to improve your productivity. What's that going to do to your job or your business, and what level is that going to step you up?
I want to change tact a little bit, if I can, because I know that this is not the space that you've been in forever. That's not where you started out your professional career. So take me back
Yep.
to young Carolyn. What was the sort of the dream that you wanted to be, sort of around school age, and where did it take you?
Wow, I think when I was young, I wanted to do something with animals, but then I realized, oh, they're going to die. I don't want to see them die. So I kind of never knew. I was one of these people that never knew what they wanted to do when I left school. And I take my hat off to anyone that actually does know what they want to do when they're 17, 18. So I kind of just went to work, and I actually worked for Foreign Affairs for 10 years. Before I made that decision, I was like, oh my God, I've been in this job for 10 years. And even though it took me overseas, I lived in Vanuatu for 2 years, which was amazing. And I was surrounded by triathletes. They were all my friends. But I was already into the whole fitness and nutrition anyway. So I left and went to night school because people said, you're a fitness fanatic. Why don't you do something to do with fitness? And I'm like, hmm, right, okay. So I just kind of made that decision based on that. Um, I went, all right, I'm going to study to be a personal trainer. So I did. And back then, it's not like it is now, the quick little 8-week courses online or whatever. It took me 2 years going to night school to do it because I still had to then get another job during the day. But, and straight after that, I bought a franchise into the outdoor training. And I just never looked back. And I think for me, it was a no-brainer to go into business because I'd watched my parents also. They've owned businesses over the years. And so it was just a natural thing for me to go, well, I'll just own a business. So yeah, I kind of just went from there and just never looked back.
It's such an amazing journey that you've been on. I think that scope of going from foreign affairs into fitness training, but I
Yeah,
understand if particularly in a country like Vanuatu, which is much more of an outdoor,
yeah,
because of the nature of the environment and things, and more people spending more time outdoors and hopefully getting fit along the way. So I guess it kind of makes sense that one went to the other. But I love that that it's just been this continuous journey for you, and that as well that it's been a career that's lasted for a long period of time. Because again, I think most people think of people in this space of going, they've got a very limited lifespan in the space, that it lasts 3, 4, 5 years, and then they've moved on to something else. But you've been in it for quite some time, as you've said, and I don't think there's
yeah.
any plans to move out of there anytime soon.
No, because I'm still super passionate about it. And I think that's where I find I'm so blessed that I'm able to do something. I'm not, able to make my passion my business. Sometimes I think it's to my detriment because I'm just way too passionate about it. um, and so people could get put off by that. But, I think, yeah, just being so lucky that I can do something that I just love and I still love. And it's also something, my dad has even said to me at times, what are you going to, are you getting ready to do something else? Should you go and get a job? And I'm like, why? Well, because, you're 52 soon. And can you still do personal training? And I'm like, why not? Why can't I be a 60-year-old personal trainer training other 60-year-olds? Because, they don't want to be trained by a 20-something person. They want someone that knows what they're going through.
You hit the nail
So,
on the
I
head.
find that
Isn't that one
interesting.
of the biggest things is that relatability is such a huge thing in business. And we often forget that about those stories that we tell because you're absolutely right. The truth is that someone in their 20s or 30s doesn't understand what it's like to be in your 50s. And,
No.
and that's okay. So long as there are people that do understand what that's like and can relate to it and understand and as you said at the beginning, it's quite there's nothing wrong with doing stuff to make sure that you're good to run around with the kids or the grandkids or whatever it might be. That it's not necessarily your journey is not necessarily about becoming a triathlete.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I just want to be fit and healthy when I'm older. So, I want to set that example for people. Mm.
Fantastic, Carolyn. I thank you so much for giving us these insights. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure the audience will as well because I think we it's good to understand the business behind it as well as the actual the mechanics that we know about and know that there is demystifying a little bit some of what all of this space is about and knowing that there are people like yourself out there that are not I guess the typical ones that we have in our minds, and that it's been a fantastic growing business for you and giving people the opportunity as we'll give people an opportunity to connect with you. But I think knowing that regardless of where you're listening to this podcast, online is always an option with Carolyn and
Yeah.
that's something you can do and you can still do classes from there. You don't have to know exactly the area that she's in order to be physically able to be there, although that obviously is an option for people and a great
Yeah.
one at that if you happen to be in the local area.
Yes. And my nutrition business is all online. So, and, I can coach any of that from anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's an important element as well. They do go very much hand in hand with people, with things,
Yeah.
and having a better understanding of nutrition. And as we said before, the combination of all of that and how it can help your business as well is a huge
Definitely.
huge part of what every business owner should be doing, and every business should be doing. And I should be practicing more of what I preach and get out of here and walk the dog straight after we finish. So Carolyn, thank you so much for being a great guest on the program, and we will make sure that all of your details are included in the show notes as well. And thank you for being part of it. BizBytes is brought to you by ComTogether for all your marketing needs, so you can build your brand, engage audiences on multiple platforms. Go to comtogether.com.au, follow the links to book an appointment for a free consultation.